Hello and welcome to a brand new series of Subway NIBFA Today. I'm Barry Green. This season we'll have a monthly studio show and we'll have some new fan and player features for you. Today we'll be showing you some terrific National League highlights from the month of September. Last week we went to watch Ridgeway Rovers 2006 team doing their training drills at St Pat's at Knock. We spoke to some players, parents and grandparents. We'll have that for you later in today's show. Today we'll be joined by Coach Education Officer at the Irish Football Association and Linfield striker Andy Waterworth. We will be getting Andy's thoughts on our 4 featured games. First up, we go to the Dub for an Under-15 National League fixture. It features Cliftonville and Glentoran in a Belfast derby. We saw 5 goals in a quality match won by the Glens. Johnny Martin is on commentary.
Cliftonville Under-15s and Glentoran Under-15s met in a National League A fixture at the Dub. Cliftonville kicking off in their familiar red and Glentoran in the green, red and black. In pleasant and dry playing conditions, both teams looked to keep the ball on the ground, and it was the Glens that opened the scoring when a pinpoint through ball from midfield found Connor Falls, who stayed calm under pressure and passed the ball home. 1-0 Glentoran after only 2 minutes. Glentoran kept the pressure on, and great determination from Scott Ralston allowed another chance for Connor Falls, but he could only poke wide of the target on this occasion. This Conan Macaulay corner for Cliftonville caused problems, but this half volley didn't trouble Ryan McGrath in the Glentoran goal. Glentoran pressed for another goal, and the shooting opportunity fell for Dan Kirk, who couldn't keep his effort below the bar. Harry Wilson was fouled in the midfield for Glentoran. From that free kick, the Glens doubled the lead when Connor Falls scored his second of the evening, making it 2-0 on 14 minutes. From a Christopher Campbell back pass, Glentoran scored their 3rd goal in the 52nd minute. A pinpoint cross from Joe Hopes found the lethal Callum Marshall, who made all 3 points secure. With darkness falling, Glentoran's number 4 Scott Ralston went on a mazy run and was fouled on the edge of the area. Up stepped Charlie Lindsay to fire in the free kick and make it 4-0 to Glentoran in the 63rd minute. To their credit, Cliftonville never gave in and got on the score sheet in the 64th minute when Ethan Carey passed the ball into the bottom corner, much to the delight of his teammates and coaching staff. It was Glentoran that had the last real opportunity of the night when Dylan Sloan tested the Cliftonville goalkeeper from the edge of the area. However, at full time it finished Glentoran 4, Cliftonville 1.
Well, I'm delighted to say I've been joined by Coach Education Officer at the Irish Football Association and Linfield striker Andy Waterworth. Andy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Barry.
Well, Andy, we threatened to get you in here last season, but at that stage, if I remember correctly, you were changing roles in the IFA. Give us a sense of what your new job is about, the title and basically what you do.
Yeah, it's now working in the coach education team under Nigel and Sean Paul and with Lorna as well. So it's a small full-time team, and really what we're trying to do is develop coaches, have a curriculum, a coach education program that's used. It's used for developing coaches in the game here, but also our international coaches, and we want to equip coaches to be able to coach at grassroots level, at professional level, maybe context specific like youth coaching, things like that. So it's great to be involved in. It's certainly somewhere where I've always wanted to be. I maybe got there earlier than I thought I would, which is good. And it's quite challenging for me personally because I'm working day to day with the game, and I'm delivering sessions as a tutor, which again I need to add a bit more to my coaching repertoire. But it's a very interesting role, challenging, but I have to say every day I wake up I'm looking forward to going to it.
Sounds pretty cool, although you mustn't be away from Windsor Park, or the National Stadium as it's called now, because things are going pretty well for you at Linfield as well.
Yeah, again, my office is at the National Football Stadium at Windsor Park, and my training by night is done at Windsor Park. So it's a beautiful place to work and to play, and I can't really complain that way. And when you do go into the car park in the morning, you go up those steps and you look out over the pitch. Again, it's one of the vast advantages of working in the game.
Quality. Turning to Glentoran's 4-1 win then in the game against Cliftonville, the Glens deserved the victory, didn't they?
They did. But the thing that struck me straight away was even from kick-off was Cliftonville's ability to want to play out from the back, and they were patient. Everybody seemed comfortable on the ball, and even the two Glentoran strikers pressed the ball at times, and we'll watch the game, watch the highlights. They always wanted to press the ball, and Cliftonville still wanted to play out from the back, which I have to say, tip of the hat to Cliftonville, and you can see that's a lot of coaching going on behind the scenes. Looking at Glentoran, I'm very familiar that it's a what would you call it, a competent Glentoran side with a good record, and a lot of people are talking about them, and there's quite a few players who are in the international club NI setup. Again, going through the highlights and of the match, I thought Callum Marshall, he's someone who's caught my eye.
Diminutive, but fox in the box type character.
Yeah, and I watched him closely in the summer there in the World Cup, and I watched the game against Man United. I thought he was fantastic. He plays a lone striker. He worked his socks off, maybe too much at times. I think he maybe
needs to know
come
when.
From a fellow striker. He needs to know maybe when the curve is running, maybe when to maybe be a bit more efficient in his running. But he really impressed me. He's small in stature, but he knows how to use his body, and he was nice and neat and tidy. Maybe could have stretched teams more with his pace, but he really stood out. And again, watching the highlights back, another player stood out, and the finishes were excellent.
Yeah, two of those finishes from Connor Falls, and he was another guy who, once he's through on goal, the chances are he's going to score, or he looks that way. Yeah,
and I know we'll discuss this again pre-show. The first finish was probably one that strikers appreciate the most, because it's maybe a bit of psychology of the keeper. He's 1v1 and he's nice and composed, and he started the ball well. Again, Charlie Lindsay with a free kick. It seems like a strong, powerful Glentoran team, and Cliftonville didn't do an awful lot wrong. Maybe a couple of individual errors, but it looked like a very good game. I know people might say the scoreline didn't reflect Cliftonville's performance, but a very good game.
Very good. Thanks, Andy, for the moment. That Glens team have been so successful down the years. They look to have picked up where they left off last season. Now, for our second game, we stay at the Dub. This time, it's an evening fixture in the Under-18 National League. Rosario took on St Oliver Plunkett. Lord James watched the game. Let's see which way this one went.
This was a Greater Belfast derby for the National League between newcomers Rosario and St Oliver Plunkett, both teams meeting at the Dub under the Friday night lights and a touch of rain. Rosario in white and blue, Plunkett in black and white stripes shooting to the left of the screen. The very early stages brought out a few evenly matched midfield battles as both teams sussed one another out, before Plunkett were firmly on the ascendancy. This attack gave way to the first big talking point, when Plunkett had a penalty shout just 2 minutes in. Close to the half-hour mark, Saunders launched another attack, this time with a long throw to be well controlled in the centre of the park, before Collie O'Neill got a powerful foot on it and drilled confidently into the back of the net, leaving teammate McCulloch to duck beneath its flight path. Calls from the touchline for Rosario to keep the heads up sparked a response from the home team. Denver Ferris picked up this angle ball from the defence to weave his way through to Plunkett's half, but Conor McGuckian dispossessed him and released to McCurry when tackled. There was another chain of events which led to Plunkett doubling their lead through Chris Turtle within just a minute of the opener. While much of the focus will be on Plunkett's deadly front line and high pressing game, their keepers' distribution and overlapping fullbacks also deserve credit. Jack McKee weighed up McCulloch on the right-hand side before sprinting to the other end, where he was able to pick up McCurry's pass after his shot from the central position was blocked, and he curled it beautifully to beat Ethan Sloan on 39 minutes. Half-time score at the Dub, Rosario 0, Plunkett 3. After shipping a fairly tight throw-in, Mervyn delivered a sublime ball from just in front of our camera position to the edge of the box. And this one was perfectly positioned for Calvin McCurry to run onto and neatly finish past Sloan. A slick and confident finish from McCurry, deservedly congratulated by skipper McCulloch and his teammates. Back in Rosario's half, and the home defence looked as if they were sure they dealt with any simmering danger from Ben Gray and O'Neill with this long clearance. But Plunkett had identified Rosario's weaker areas. Gray had started to dominate the right flank in this half, collaborating with Turtle, whose stunning arced ball fell to McCulloch. All it took was a cheeky touch with the outside of his boot to catch Sloan off guard, and it made for a finish which was very easy on the eye. 55 minutes gone, Plunkett 5-0 up. Struggling to find space to carve out a counter-attack, Rosario huffed and puffed their way through this last 20 minutes, but perhaps also fell foul of frustration as Plunkett piled on the pressure up front. Mark McDonald thought he had cleared the ball away from the edge of his team's area here, but was beaten by McCulloch, who he tripped in the box. Plunkett manager Mickey Donnelly's son Mark took on the responsibility of the spot kick and made no mistake, sending Sloan the wrong way and drilling it into the bottom right corner. The Rosario bench didn't think they had a case to answer when the referee pointed to the spot for a second time. Spot kick duties for this one falling to stand-in captain Michael Mervyn, whose light-footed approach tricked the keeper into diving too soon on 63 minutes. Great passing, strong communication, and an admirable team effort for a great team goal. This one finished smartly by Turtle. By now, anyone in black and white stripes must have fancied themselves to score, with the fullbacks playing higher up the pitch and continued pressing, putting their training ground education to good use. Owen Matassa, Conor McGuckian, Turtle and Mervyn had a hand in this one, but it was O'Neill who looked to have claimed the final touch.
So Andy, a 9-0 defeat and 2 sendings off for Rosario when they've just come into the league. How hard will it be for them to come back from that?
It's a difficult process, getting beat 9-0. I've been on the receiving end of maybe a 6-7-0 myself. And I wouldn't be too harsh. It's still a development phase of under 18s, but still the development is important first and foremost. Maybe the result can come after. What I will say is 2 great clubs. In my previous role I worked with both clubs off the pitch, and they're certainly doing everything right off the pitch, so it's great to see the two of them playing against each other there. I think individually what players can and coaches as well can do there is assess, take things out of the match that went wrong and use it as a building block to develop their own game, or coaches develop their team. But the thing that you can't forgive sometimes as a coach is people throwing the towel in. And again, I know they're still young players, but I think you have to eradicate that from your game very soon if you want to maybe potentially have a career or make football a sustainable game in your life. And a few times I've seen the
heads drop
from the Rosario players, and maybe I think it was the fourth goal, and the ball's going over the top, and the centre half he's arguing with somebody, and the ball's still in play. So what you can simply do there is, look, it's not a good day at the office, which does happen. We're getting beat here, but let's take something out of the game. I know it's maybe easy sitting here saying it, and the emotion of the game doesn't let your mind run that way. But after that 9-0, it's either look at what we've done wrong, or you know what, lads, let's just put that as a learning curve and put it to the side. So
Jack McKee's strike that made it 3-0, probably about my preference for the best goal of the game. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, again, some fantastic individual goals from the Plunkett players, and they looked very comfortable on the ball, and you could see as the goals, more and more goals went in, they became more confident, and it's just a terrible day at the office for Rosario. But full credit to Plunkett, they made the pitch big, and I think at times too the Rosario defence, midfield defence, there's big gaps, and Plunkett certainly took full advantage of that, and as you say, some great goals, some great individual goals.
Definitely. Well, Rosario will have better days at the office this season, no doubt. A great team performance from Plunkett, and I'm sure both teams will be back, and we'll see them later on during this season. Now, just before our half-time team talk with Andy, here's a word from our sponsors, Subway. Now it's time for half-time team talk with today's guest. Andy, let's talk about your career today. You started out with Kilmore. You were at Distillery. You went across and played
Ards after Kilmore.
Ards after Kilmore. Distillery. And then you made the move over to Scotland to full-time football. Tell us what that was like.
It was brilliant. I have to say, I was a late developer. I went across, I was 19. I was supposed to sign for Aberdeen actually, and the deal was more or less done. And I don't think Distillery and Aberdeen could agree terms. Again, it was something that was on up at board level. Next thing I knew, there was a late last minute offer from Hamilton, like transfer deadline day. I was 19 years of age. I'd played in Northern Ireland all my life, and it was one of those where do you want to go or do you not want to go? So I just had to grab what was on me, and I made the flight over to Edinburgh actually, and then drove down to Hamilton, and it was a 3-year contract, professional football, everything you sort of dreamed of as a boy, and it was nice to fulfil that, even though it was short-lived. Really nice to fulfil that.
What did you find difficult about being away from home?
I suppose I was probably a rural boy from Crossgar who had a big family and was used to having so many people around me. I found when I went over, you train in the morning, and I probably didn't use my time well enough. I came home from training and I was maybe just watching DVDs in my room and waiting for training the next day, and if I had a bad training session I let it play on my mind, and I found that whole process hard to adapt to, even though I was older. Looking back now on reflection, I would probably approach it differently. I would think myself, this is a job and there is tough times, and I wish I had somebody who's able to tell me that there's tough times ahead, but every day is a learning day, and you just have to deal with it in the best possible way. And if you have a bad day at training, don't let it go, and the next day maybe just dust yourself down and go again. Whereas I maybe developed in things too much and let it get to me, and I regret coming home, but I do believe everything happens for a reason, and I'm in a great position now. I'm working on the game, and I'm playing for probably the biggest club in Northern Ireland.
Very good. Let's talk about when you came back home. You signed for Glentoran initially, and then you made the move to Linfield. Now you know what that rivalry's like. Was it difficult to cross that divide?
Yeah, the difficult thing for me was, firstly, there was no contract from Glentoran, so I had no choice. So I was told to go and look for another club, and spoke to a few clubs. But when you meet David Jeffrey and he brings you to Linfield, and if anybody knows David Jeffrey, he's one of the most inspiring men I've ever met, and he sold it to me really well. He made me believe I was born to play for Linfield, and it was just a move that had to happen. So I made the move, and it felt right in my heart and my head, and I knew that it would be stick. Now, some unwarranted, and I think stick that I got which wasn't deserved. The only people I felt bad for is the young players, the young supporters who maybe looked at me and maybe didn't understand the whole aesthetics of a player moving. So for them, I did feel guilty, you know, seeing a couple of players, a couple of young supporters afterwards who maybe had Walworth 9 shirts and they maybe didn't understand what the situation I was in. But for myself, it was a great move, and you know, I've grown to love the club, and I've had 6 really great years there. And like I say, it was it's been a really good time for me.
What advice would you have for young players watching this, players who aspire to play the game full time?
I think you have to obviously enjoy the game and make sacrifices. You know, when I was growing up, I was never, you know, out socialising too much because I was always preparing for games, and I made that sacrifice because I wanted to play football. I would also say to try and look at it with you know, once the minute you stop playing, you know, youth football, and I urge every coach and parent to let kids and play for as long as they can in terms of enjoyment, because once the day comes when they do go into a performance club or a performance level, it does become a job. So you have to treat it as a job, and if you have a bad day, let it go, and you know, work so hard at it. I know it's a cliche and people say you gotta work harder, but you know, go away off on your day off and maybe do a wee bit extra, and if you're confident, keep it going. If you're maybe having a couple of bad games, stop, and like every other job, take a step back and go and watch a movie, go to the cinema, and maybe do something else, go and play tennis.
Is there anything that you don't like to see young people do? Have you got a pet hate, for instance, in football?
The thing that sort of grieves me in youth football is, I know parents get a hard time, but you know, parents or coaches taking the fun out of the game for young players. Maybe people who are more interested in their own coaching careers, or maybe not understanding the context of players, because once, as I say, once you take that kid into a competitive environment, the fun levels does reduce, and if you can let, you know, players play at that fun development level for as long as they can, so they can develop to full potential, and then once they're ready, let them go. Now there is an overarching aim where you have to sort of guide people into that transition, but it's letting people, you know, play and progress as long as they can. And if you're a coach and you find yourself getting too bogged down by results in youth football and development football, maybe just take a step back, and likewise with a parent.
Thanks, Andy. Some great advice there. Well, last week we took our cameras up to watch Stephen Archer's Ridgeway side in training. They were under the lights on the 4G at St Pat's in Knock. We caught up with some players, parents and grandparents on the night. Let's take a look. I can see it's well attended tonight. There seems to be quite a lot in terms of investment from coaches' time and from parents on the sideline as well.
Certainly, you know, it's a lot they asked every week. We train 2 nights, a Monday and a Wednesday, and obviously the kids with their schoolwork and that, they have to get the training for 6 on a Monday and on a Wednesday night, and then obviously they're here for an hour and a half, and obviously they have to get home then and get their homework done, so they do. But it's a big ask, but a lot of kids, they're really keen to improve to be good footballers and probably live up to their heroes. Well, I think it helps the kids communicate, and I think also too the friendships they make. Probably young kids at that age, some of them are quiet and maybe a wee bit reserved, whereas I think when they sort of join a wee football team like this, and this is a wee family club as I see it, these boys have been together like for maybe 6-7 years, and there's very few that ever leave the club, and I think the friendships they have for life and carry them into the future.
And Charlie, you play for Ridgeway. What age group?
2006.
How many days a week do you dedicate to football then?
We train 2 days a week, and I play football in my garden most days.
And how do you find coming to training? Is it 2 nights a week?
Oh yeah, too. It's good. I like it.
It takes a bit of commitment, doesn't it, as a parent or a grandparent to actually bring your child to not only training but actually to the games then at the weekend?
Well, it's tough on him too. He gets off the bus 4:30, bang, he's in, shower, dog walk, football kit on, up here at 6. Not easy on him, and he gets his bus at 20 past 8 in the morning. So if he can do it, I can do it. That's the way I see it.
It really is testament to the parents and coaches, everything positive going on at Ridgeway Rovers at the moment. And thanks for having us, and we'll be out and about seeing other training evenings each and every month that we have this programme. Now it's time for our final 2 matches. 2 weeks ago it was Newcastle's under-16s who travelled to Inver Park to play Larne in the National League. This proved to be a hotly contested affair. Johnny Martin is on commentary.
Two undefeated teams met at Inver Park in a National League fixture. Newcastle under-16s kicking off against Larne Youth under-16s. Newcastle in the black and white and Larne in the red. The County Down side started and settled well. The first opportunity fell for Ryan Burns inside the penalty area, but he could only guide his shot wide of the right post. Newcastle were then awarded a free kick in a dangerous area. From that free kick, Sam Carson looked as if he had given his side the lead, but the referee didn't feel the ball had crossed the line. As we can see in the slowed down replay, a very hard call for the referee, who is in a perfect position to make a decision. Newcastle started the game well, and their next chance fell to Oran Cunningham, who tested Ryan Marcus in the Larne goal. He did well to save. Before this fixture, Newcastle had played 3 times and won all 3 games, and you could see they were playing as a team. They were patient in their build-up, played the ball forward and forced the Larne defence into turning the ball behind for a corner. Then came a great opportunity for Newcastle when Ryan Burns cut the ball back perfectly for Ozga, but Ozga could only fire hard and low, straight at the Larne goalkeeper. Then came the opening goal 13 minutes into the second half, when this long ball forward was controlled perfectly by Oran Cunningham, who fired hard and low into the bottom left corner to give Newcastle a deserved 1-0 lead. Larne needed a response, and this free kick played into the back post was only headed over by Brodie Maxwell. Back to matters on the field of play, and as Larne desperately looked for an equaliser, it was a long ball forward that allowed Newcastle to score the second goal of the game when Rhys Doyle expertly lobbed the Larne goalkeeper to give Newcastle a 2-0 lead.
So Andy, plenty of cards and the two managers sent to the stands in that one. It was spicy, wasn't it?
Yeah, firstly, that's disappointing to hear the two managers sent to the stands, and it appeared to be feisty. From a personal point of view, I really enjoyed watching that game. I used to coach Tullymore, who's a team in Newcastle. And a lot of the players that I was working with and coaching are actually played in that game, and it was great to see their faces again. Great to see actually their development. Firstly, the free kick from Sam Carson, great technique. Oh, fantastic technique. I would like to see a bit of goal line technology there to see if it actually went in. And Ethan, the centre half, just I pointed out pre-show. One thing I love to see from centre halves is centre half stepping in if there's space there to play, and you've certainly seen Ethan Little, and he's a great kid too. Again, I worked with him under 9s right through to under 13s, and he was such a.
There's nothing as good to see a footballing centre half. So there's not.
And he's a great character too. Great character, and a lovely kid. So it's good to see his development has continued. And we talk about strikers and pace. Rhys Doyle. Again, thinking back to a time when we brought Rhys to Tullymore. He played against us one time. I think he's playing for Castlewellan. And I'd actually asked my team to play nice and high and get on the ball. It was a mistake because I've never seen anybody as quick in my life. Every ball went over the top. Rhys was giving players 10, 15, 20 yards, and he was just making up the ground.
And what about that finish? I mean, you're a striker, so I'm sort of thinking to myself, you're going to enjoy that.
He has that in his locker. Yeah. He's just a goal scorer. That goal actually reminds you of it. I remember a game he was playing in, and you're thinking to yourself, he's one of those all be off days, and he's just out of nothing. He just hits one. What I would call from a lot of youth football I've watched, is probably one of the sharpest strikers I've seen. He scores all different kinds of goals. He's got pace, he's got power, and he's got a wee bit of arrogance, which I love.
Yeah. What about the celebration?
The celebration too. Again, it sums up his wee personality, and I know that he will enjoy that one. But it's a tight knit wee team there. They seem to have Newcastle. A lot of individual performances, and I know I'm not really speaking too much about Lauren, but it's just that happened to catch me eye there that it was a lot of local boys that I know well, and it's great to see that they're trying to play, and like I said, when they've got young Rhys in the team, it's a threat to any team.
Thanks, Andy. This season we'll have a Player of the Month award named on each show. This month, from a short list of 3, you'll not be surprised to hear the panel chose Rhys Doyle from Newcastle as the Subway NIBFA Player of the Month for September. An NIBFA rep will be in touch with you shortly to present you with your award. So well done to Rhys. Now, our final game took place last weekend and featured Cliftonville and St Oliver Plunkett at the Dub. This one was watched by Keith Bailey.
Cliftonville under-15s faced St Oliver Plunkett under-15s on Saturday in a National League fixture, which is played at the Dub, the home of Queen's University. Cliftonville are wearing their all-red strip, while St Oliver Plunketts are in their traditional black and white colours. While Cliftonville were doing all the running early doors, St Oliver Plunkett's goalkeeper Rhys Camlin was alert to the danger. However, Cliftonville were handed a golden opportunity when Aaron Pendergrass was fouled just inside the area. Aaron Pendergrass stepped up to the mark and coolly converted the penalty. This gave Cliftonville a well-deserved 1-0 lead. Three minutes after the opening goal, St Oliver Plunketts had an opportunity to equalise. Striker Brian Healy worked Cliftonville's goalkeeper Ross Mateer with this low effort. In the 19th minute, St Oliver Plunkett put together a wonderful passing move. Unfortunately for them, number 15 Brodie Spencer was only able to clip the post at the back post. The equaliser did arrive for St Oliver Plunketts in the 21st minute, and what a fine finish it was. Young Brian Healy guided a hard, low strike into the bottom left-hand corner. Things were tightly poised at the Dub at half-time, with the score Cliftonville 1, St Oliver Plunkett's 1. The second half, well, Cliftonville returned with renewed vigour and were determined to take the 3 points. The Reds got the rewards 8 minutes into the new half. It was a well-worked goal, with Cliftonville putting St Oliver Plunketts under plenty of pressure. Eventually the ball fell to the lively Liam McStravick, who was on hand with this close-range finish. McStravick's goal gave Cliftonville a 2-1 lead. St Oliver Plunkett's found an equaliser to make it 2-2 in the 15th minute of the second half after some fine work from Darragh McMenamin. He picked out Brian Haley, who had a sharp save by the Cliftonville goal, but Clifton McMenamin was on hand to turn the ball into the net. However, Cliftonville responded immediately. In the 16th minute they scored what proved to be the winner, and a memorable goal it was too. Jackson Reid producing this superb finish. The goal made it Cliftonville 3, St Oliver Plunkett's 2. So after a thoroughly entertaining game, this National League fixture finished Cliftonville 3, St Oliver Plunkett's 2, and it's one to remember.
So Andy, 5 goals and a great advertisement for the Northern Ireland Boys Football Association.
Yeah, the two little Cliftonville wingers, Liam McMenamin, or Liam McStravick.
McStravick, yeah.
Wow, he looked very good on the ball. He looked small in stature, but he had a big heart involved in 2 of the goals, and obviously he scored one of them. What I will say is, when you're talking about desire and strikers, I see the number 10, Darragh McMenamin for Plunkett. I love that. I love the goal. You've seen him. He was involved in the build-up. He played, and you talk about what makes the best goal scorers is desire. He see his run getting into the box. It was nearly Frank Lampard-esque. He's just run at his high speed, and he was like third man out outside the box. The shots come in, and who's there for the follow-up? Darragh McMenamin. But
it is, I mean, you're a striker, and you have done that yourself over the years, but it is absolutely critical to follow in a shot, isn't it? Because for me, I get so frustrated when people don't do it, and then guess what? The ball comes out as a rebound, but the keeper's able to grab it pretty quick. But, you know, it's imperative, isn't it?
It's desire. Everything's about desire. You have to want to score goals, and if I put a context there, young Darragh's played the ball, and quite rightly he could have maybe thought, that's a good ball, I'm going to hover the edge of the box and never getting this, but he's made a run in just in case, and that just in case came, and he was there, and again, great finish, and he's sort of outside of the boot, and he's adjusted his body, so I love to see that. I love to see people off the ball running when maybe they mightn't get it. Just, it's a great honest trait to have a young player.
What about the goal to win it? The ball over the top from Jack Kinnear and the first touch and finish from Jackson Reid, both absolute class.
Yeah, I'm sure Plunkett will be aggrieved because there's no pressure on the ball, and he's actually stepped inside Plunkett's half, and no pressure on the ball. If you have the ability to pick out a pass like that, which the young Cliftonville player did, and then when you have that quality of movement and touch, finish, composure, and great goal. But I'm sure Plunkett will be saying, why is there no pressure on the ball as they stepped inside our own half? But you know, yeah, nice combination of goal there.
Well, it's been a great first show. Hopefully you've enjoyed yourself. Thanks for coming along and being our expert today.
No, I wouldn't call me an expert, but thanks very much for having me, and good luck with the rest of the show.
Thank you very much, Andy. Thanks also to you for tuning in. We'll see you again next month with another studio guest poised to add their expertise. Please do share our programme on social media and help us spread the success of youth football here in Northern Ireland. Now finally, you can drop us a message on Facebook or Twitter via the NIBFA or Export Day pages. Join us again next month. See you then.